Meditation, foundation of spirituality. Meditation is the foundation of spirituality. If you meditate having your real goal before you, you are sure to arrive at the destination. Generally, people complain of the numerous ideas creeping into their mind at the time of meditation. They think they have failed in their practice unless they bring their mind to a standstill. But it is not so. We are not practicing concentration, but only meditation. We must go on with meditation unmindful of the foreign ideas that happen to come to our mind at the time. The flow of ideas is due to the activities of our conscious mind, which is never at rest. We are still busy in meditation with our subconscious mind, while our conscious mind is roaming about and forming numerous ideas. Thus, we are not the loser in any way. In due course, after sufficient practice, the conscious mind too gets molded and begins to act in harmony with the subconscious mind. The result thus achieved is deep-rooted and lasting. And finally, calmness, the characteristic of soul, becomes predominant.
Vivek, there is a small caveat here, he says that the flow of ideas is due to the activities of conscious mind, which is never at rest. We are still busy in meditation with our subconscious mind, while our conscious mind is roaming about and forming numerous ideas. The caveat here while practicing is that when you become aware that your mind has drifted away from the heart, then you gently bring the awareness back to the heart. That is how we train our conscious mind.
Correct.
Once you become aware, you should not allow the mind to do daydreaming and then keep on fabricating thoughts and all that. You should gently bring it back and rest it in the heart where heart is beating, and rest it on the presence of divine light there.
Correct.
What he's trying to say is, even for about 5-10 minutes, you feel that mind is, the awareness is not resting on the divine light. Subconsciously meditation is going on. That's a good thing, because you sat with the sankalpa, and that sankalpa works in the subconscious. That's why you're giving, that's the suggestion you give to the subconscious mind. It carries on. But we have to train our conscious mind also to be, not to wander here and there. There is some people have misinterpreted this and they've stopped practicing. And meditation basically implies thinking over and over again about the same thing. You think about the same thing again and again. Here, divine light is there in the heart, and if your awareness is continuously present on that heart, awareness continuously present on the divine light means you are continuously thinking about the divine light in the conscious plane. It doesn't mean like parrot-like repetition, divine light is there, divine light. It's not like that. If your awareness is steadily staying there, that is, you're continuously thinking about it. But once you become aware that you're drifted to some other thought, gently, without finding fault with yourself or cursing yourself or judging badly about yourself, you gently bring the mind in a normal way back to the heart where it is beating, and allow it to rest on the presence of divine light there. That's the idea.
Yes. Yeah, so Babuji does say that the result is deep-rooted and lasting if we, also mold our conscious mind along with the subconscious.
So that's what I've gone. Our training is to train the conscious mind to stay at one place instead of wandering here and there. That's why in Showers of Divine Grace, he says, what is meditation? He says, meditation is your mind will get accustomed to the center itself instead of wandering here and there. That's the idea, he says.
Correct.
So one of the practice goals should be, whenever you're sitting, you should sit with the determination that my mind should stay on the heart instead of wandering here and there. And if you have that intention, the right intention, the mind will get trained. It will behave.
So moving ahead, Vairagya, what wrong can be there if I advise you not to take anyone into your consciousness in the sense of a brother, son, or daughter, but to go on with your duty with due regard to the position and personality of each. If a thirsty man takes water without an idea of its being water, shall it not quench his thirst? One must actually live up to what he thinks or talks about. You often come across Mahatmas and Sadhus who, though they preach about high ideas, are themselves inwardly puffed up with feelings of greatness and superiority and try all means to pose themselves as world teachers of divine knowledge. What opinion will you form of them when you peep into their hearts to discover their real worth? For certain you will find in them nothing that can command your respect for them. The Hindi word man, that is self-importance, when reversed becomes naam, that is name, and with it the physical form at once comes to view. Thus they remain attached only to the physical form, thereby creating for themselves more and more attachments and entanglements. Vairagya can be attained only when one is wholly diverted towards the divine. When it is so, one naturally becomes disinterested in his own self, including everything connected with it. Thus he loses not only the body consciousness as well. What remains then is nothing but the being in dead form or a living dead.
One basic thing we must understand is the regulation of mind and Vairagya directly proportional. If you have no desires, the mind becomes regulated, because mind comes into operation only to fulfill our desires. If there are no desires, there is no work for the mind, and you transcend the mind itself. So at least when we are doing meditation, during that time you have to create a state of mind where at least during that time you are free from all desires. I mean, subconsciously you may be having a lot of desires, but they can temporarily become quiet. You make a will that I want the full attention of my whole being on meditation. So if you can surrender all your desires during that time, at least to God, then your meditation can be better actually. Because as long as any even trivial desires are there, the object which you desire will pull your mind in that direction. It could be a mental thought also. Thought also is an object, or any idea also becomes an object which will pull your mind away from the object of meditation. So you require some preliminary preparation to make your mind free from desires before you start practicing meditation actually.
Right.
So that's why at some other place, Babuji said you can begin by 5 minutes, you can do cleaning and then do meditation, he says at some other place.
Yes.
Because when you do cleaning, you're free from all, you burn off all your cravings and aversions which you have formed during the day-to-day performance of your interaction with the world, and then they give rise to thoughts actually. They give rise to desires or aversions. You don't like your boss or somebody, and then that will weigh on your mind, and you burn them out in the form of smoke for 5 minutes and then sit. Then your mind will be more balanced and it can meditate correctly actually. Meditate meaningfully, and correctly. Yeah, we'll go ahead.
I do not agree with those who hold the view that the only way for non-attachment or Vairagya is to get away from home. One should be able to discriminate between good and bad. Having no discrimination is a characteristic of an inferior man. Renunciation. Renunciation is a condition of inner state of mind where one's eyes are every moment fixed on the reality alone, which is unchanging, eternal, and free from attraction or repulsion. Chanchalta. Happy was the time when you saw me, and happier would it be when I have a chance of seeing you. The sentence has a deep meaning and may be taken up in that sense. When I saw you for the first time, I found in you many things mingled up together, presenting a view of diversity in unity. The existence is no doubt the result of amalgamation of matter with the soul. But then there is one thing more there. There is a house which has all things in it, upset and scattered all over, while another has everything in it, well arranged and in proper order. Naturally, the former will be said to be in a disturbed state, and the latter said to be undisturbed and regulated. Similar is the case with this human frame, or the house we live in. There are numerous things kept in it. They exist in the form of results of the actions of the various functionaries at work in the system. If they are let loose to work independently according to their own trend or inclination, their actions will mostly be unregulated and disturbing. They therefore require a strong masterly hand to keep them in check, and this generally remains wanting in most cases. It is only in this respect that we present the picture of a house in disorder. The same was the case with you when you came to me first, and this is but usual in most cases.
So, Vivek, now there's a very popular or model of mind which psychologists talk. It's called modular concept of the mind. They feel that there are several modules in your mind, like one for your physical survival, one for getting social status, one for finding a mate, or one for retaining friendship, or one for one for like a PR, trying to say that how great you are and how like that. There are several modules which will be working. At a particular, there'll be competition between the modules which are working in the subconscious mind, but there will be competition for amongst these modules to attract the conscious mind to take some action. And one of the module will come into the conscious mind, and then that determines your physical action. So, like one of the modules which we are forming now is, we are saying that God is a real thing, and he is seated in your heart. And if you think about him, you will feel happy and you will feel liberated from misery. So we have created that module in our subconscious mind. But there will be other modules which are interested in attaining some social prestige or making some money or becoming famous or achieving professional success, or they all will be, they have been strengthened by your particular autobiographical history due to the society in which you are living and all that. So, but if you, in our meditation, we are trying to give attention to this module, and other modules will prevent you, they'll try to distract you from this meditation. But if you still persist, they will also come to a conclusion that the conscious mind is giving attention to this module, so it must be a very important thing. So we'll now keep quiet, we'll not disturb. And after some time, if we don't feed them, they'll all become weak, and only this module will become very prominent, and which will lead to your liberation. That is the idea now, which is,
Right.
I've put in the idea of the master as a goal or a spiritual goal, but most people don't have. But then this module is being, this model of mind is getting a lot of traction in the field of psychology, actually. The idea is that one thought should dominate and then become very powerful in your subconscious mind, which will drive away all other goals. And these are all like those functionaries which Babuji is talking, which are, things are badly placed in your eyes, not regularly, not properly utilized, or irregular, dilapidated structure where things are all lying somewhere else where they are not doing. It's inner disorder which he's talking of. Like functionaries here means we basically, when Babuji talks about this functions, means it is the Manasu, Buddhi, Ahankara and Chitta. These are the four main functions actually. They are not coordinated. They are all working at cross purposes in majority of the people actually. And when they come into harmony and they come under the control of yourself, then you're balanced. You should become the master of all these functionaries. మీకు అర్థమైంది కదా నేను చెప్పింది, what I'm trying to say?
అవును సార్ అర్థమైంది. You are talking about that modules, and that one module should basically,
we should nurture one module which is about our spiritual goal.
Yeah, and that is why in our system it is the same practice right from day one till we.
Yeah, that's right.
So we don't. So there's no confusion. And
That's
it
right. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We have now to enter into a new life, a life which is beyond this outer life of ours. We might just as well say that the real man exists behind this, the apparent man. Now, since you want to enter upon the real life, you have to seek for the real man, the man behind the man, or the man beyond man. Such a personality, if he does exist, can be traced out only by the heart's eye and can be felt in every molecule and atom of the body. Though possessing a physical body, he shall be in no way be attached to it, and he shall be nearest to zero. His covering shall be the whole universe, wherein he shall have his own play. You will find him present in the sand of the desert, as well as in the waves of the ocean. You will find him presence in the light of the sun, the moon, and the stars. He shall be in existence everywhere, in hell as well as in paradise. But how to trace him out is a real problem. In fact, that is the very thing which by my master's grace lies pouring on me, and which I impart to the Abhyasis through transmission. I take it as part of my duty, not expecting any return for it, though it automatically becomes due from the Abhyasi in the form of Rina or debt, not taking the word in its popular sense, of course. What I mean thereby is only the reaction on the part of the Abhyasi. The inner disorders and disturbances can never be set right unless you react yourself. They must at least be suspended so as to introduce an atmosphere of peace and calmness. But unless they are suspended, the ways of living cannot be regulated and improved. So long as the proper regulation remains wanting, there can be no equilibrium, hence no balance at all. Without it, we can never stand by nature. It's only when we get closely in touch with nature that we begin to breathe in the purified air coming therefrom. By and by, we begin to acquire identicality with it. In a word, everything becomes possible and attainable when we get ourselves attached with the real man beyond man. I'll pause here, sir. So here, I think Master is talking about, even though through transmission he imparts, it is our duty to keep the inner disorder and disturbances at check.
What only reaction on the part of the Abhyasi. Reaction is proper, our part of the training. Proper meditation jayatamu, proper cleaning jayatamu, and then trying to follow the 10 commandments. That is what he is asking us to do. Nothing, he is not asking you to do anything impossible. Normal practice, you do it with sincerity, that's all.
So with the practice, the atmosphere of peace and calmness also prevails. And that's how the inner disorder can be suspended.
Ante the as I told you, the at least suspend jala we have to renounce our desires. Desires include aversions also. So unless we renounce, unless we give up, because as long as any desire or aversion is there, it is like a whirl in your mind lake, and you will be unhappy as long as that whirl is there. So if your desire is met, that whirl temporarily dissolves, but another whirl comes up from your subconscious mind. So that will be endless. Desires will be lurking in the subconscious mind. They keep on coming, and you keep on wanting more and more desires. So mind cannot get regulated. Mind can get regulated only when Vairagya is achieved. Vairagya is that will which is there in your ego. If you think that you have to, you should train your mind to be aligned with the will of Master or aligned with the divine light present in your heart, then the mind will get into harmony. And the natural will always operates in the world, And when your will also, when you don't have desires, that means your will is in harmony with the divine will. Then you are liberated actually. Then the mind will be in a state of balance and you become a real man actually. We should be clear that as long as we have desires, then we are not making progress actually. The less desires, the more the mind will be calm. So he's talking about overcoming desires. We'll read again. We'll finish it. And
In the beginning, the necessities of life were limited. As time went on, the surroundings affected the lives of the people, with the result that necessities began to increase. From the materialistic point of view, the world is progressing day by day, and for the reason luxuries are gradually taking the place of necessities. In a way, life has become quite luxurious. Our appetite for charms and attractions is growing greater and denser, and is constantly being reinforced by the thought force. Thus, the individual mind is being altogether spoiled. That is why it has become over excessively restless, Chanchalta. The excessive restlessness or Chanchalta of the individual mind goes on increasing and intensifying by the action of our thoughts and doings, and this subsequently results in the formation of our fate. Our fate is thus governed by this Chanchalta of the mind. The individual mind, having now become used to such a type of character, leads us on to follow its own dictates. The individual mind, having now become used to such a type of character, leads us to follow its own dictates. We are thus completely spoiled. We have therefore to correct the individual mind now. The process would be to adopt simple ways of living, disassociated from the unnecessary hankering of the mind. It does not mean lowering the standard of life, but only purging out from it what is superfluous and unnecessary.
unnecessary desires తగ్గించుకోవాలంతే.
Yeah.
So we should learn to discriminate what is good and what is bad, what is useful for our spiritual goal and what is not useful for our spiritual goal.
Overcoming desires. You ask me how desires can be overcome. The only answer I have is, try to give yourself up to God like a dead man in the hands of the dresser. But if you want me to prescribe some method for it, I shall offer you a very simple method, and it is to think your desires to be mine, not yours. You can ask me any question you like. I'm glad to find in your heart light and nothing but light. Devotion as great as possible. Devotion as great as possible is necessary, and constant remembrance creates it in one's heart.
So we'll stop here. It's 1 hour now.